Okay, we've said goodbye to Ricky Martin. Goodbye, Ricky. Goodbye, we miss you.
Bye, Ricky.
Still doing stuff, obviously, but the charts have kind of forgotten Ricky, unfortunately. This, however, is the start of a new beginning. And what an exciting new beginning it is. This is the first appearance on the podcast of Nelly Furtado and her enormous gold-certified hit, I'm Like a Bird.
This was the debut single, and a big debut, really.
Oh, yeah.
I remember at the time the scandal was, and this was probably mostly in my head, is that people really thought that at quick glances that Nelly Furtado was Courtney Cox. There was so much of a similarity between them. There was so much scandal at the time about this whole, are they sisters? Are they the same person? What's going on?
I remember being at a friend's house and we'd been watching Friends, and then we put on the music channels and I saw Promiscuous on the video for the first time. And that, I mean, like, what are the chances of seeing Friends and that on the same day? And then you go and say that. Yeah, I agree.
Oddly enough, she looks less like Courtney Cox in the video for this one. Like, she looks very much like her, but there's a lot of zoom in on her, and you can really see the differences if you've watched a lot of Friends. But in future things, she becomes more Courtney Cox. It's dead odd. It's like really interesting to see. But this one has a massive, massive, massive chorus with just like a huge sing-along factor, and it's deep as well. You know, it's a really deep song for people, so it's really odd to have such a mainstream track that's got so much depth, and it was just a massive player in my school circles when I was 17 years old.
So this won the Grammy for Best Female Pop Vocal Performance. She was the first female act to win for a debut single since Mariah Carey back in 1991 with her debut Vision of Life. And it was also nominated for Song of the Year. Song of the bloomin' year. That's a pretty big accolade. Pop Sugar put it in their top 40 saddest songs of 2000 last year. Sad? Is it sad for you? I guess certain interpretations of the lyrics, and you know, being a bird means being fleeting, nothing lasts forever. I guess in that way it is quite sad, but I guess for me, as someone who listens more to the sound and the audio as opposed to the lyrics and the content and the interpretations, to me, I mean, I guess that makes it quite melancholic. I guess it's quite melancholic on balance.
It is, and I think, you know, the difference in me now, right? So when I was 17 and this song was out, or 16 and this song was out, I never thought that I was ever going to leave the town that I lived in. You know what I mean? And actually, I remember thinking, oh, somebody doesn't know where they live and things like that. And I would have seen that as a sad thing back then, but still loved the song because it's just like Hooksville, really. But actually, now that I've randomly moved away from where I came from, even though I was the only one of my family members that didn't want to, and then, you know, the ones that wanted to move away now all live back there. And I see it as like, it's actually really optimistic as a song, because it's telling you that the world is your oyster. And yeah, there's like love elements and stuff to it too, but there's so much that you can do with this track, or so many ways you can interpret it. I think it's down to your mood. So if you're in a great place and you're driving along and you're singing it and the world is your oyster, you'll be positive about it. If you're suffering a breakup or you're just in a bit of a bad place, you just adapt it to you at the time, really.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Last week we spoke about Dido and Here With Me, and this track probably joined that in the category of deceptively elaborate in terms of production.
Yeah. That
intro, to me, is quite an introduced sort of track. It's got like chopped and screwed string section, and then it has like this sort of, well, it goes on to do all sorts of other stuff, just like Dido did. I think the whole combination of her voice with the production, it just stands out so well. And I think there's people who, and I know for a fact there's people who hate the fact that Nelly's career changed after this, and it became Timberland and it became Man-Eater and Promiscuous and that kind of stuff. What do you make of that? There's some who think she really torched her career by not following this up with more of this ilk.
Oddly enough, my favourite Nelly Furtado track is one where, again, she's probably sold her soul, because I'm pretty sure she's never met this guy. Broken Strings with James Morrison.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that's a brilliant song. I really, really love that song. And I think that they've never met each other, and it's all kind of press, really. But I think, you know, you've got to play the hand that you're dealt, and actually maybe, you know, like the Timbaland ones are big songs. Like, they are good. Promiscuous is a great song.
Oh, yeah.
I wouldn't complain. I think you know, she had the chance here. I think she had two options. She had a great breakthrough single, and she could have maybe got like a couple of good selling albums had she just stayed as like, you know, like an independent alternative artist, or she could have gone for it and played it. And I think she went for it and played it, and she's really put down a lot of big tracks in the Hall of Fame, and I would have probably played my hand the same way she did.
Yeah, I love this, and I've always loved it. I think my era of Nelly in terms of like being very consciously aware of who she was and what she was doing, would have been that Timbaland era. But this one has always been in my life. I love it so much. I've never known what the lyrics are in a different way to Shaggy. I've never really kind of studied it closely enough in a very different way to Shaggy. I can at least understand that she's speaking English. The line at the end of the chorus, I still don't know what it is. I still don't know what it actually is. But I always thought she was saying, maybe I'm a dicky bird. Maybe I'm a dicky bird.
I don't know where my home is. I don't know where my soul is.
Well, there's that as well.
I don't know where my home is.
When I've been singing it, I've always been getting soul and home mixed up. So every time I sang this song, I've always said the line, I don't know where my hole is.
Yeah, we always did at school too. And it was so there was a stupid jokey piss take of this song because it was I don't know where my hole is. Yeah. Like, look down, lover, grab a hand mirror, don't be afraid to explore. And then, in 2020, how many programs have there been on the trash channels being like, sit with a hand mirror and explore your own anatomy? So like maybe Nelly Furtado inspired girls all over the world to use mirrors and just get to know one's body just from a merge of soul and home.
We've
this track for me is exactly what this podcast is about, right? Because I think that we've discussed the whole we're looking for the best pop song, and just because something like Whole Again was number one for so long, that doesn't mean that it was the best pop song. Don't get me wrong, it was a banger and it was very, very big.
Yeah.
But something like this got to number 5. It was a breakthrough, and debuts are really easy to overlook sometimes because of the way that they like chart massively in America, then they don't do very well in the UK, or like actually an American getting a debut number 5 in the UK is a UK number 1 for them in theory because they've done so well. But this deserved to be number 1. This is a number 1 caliber track, and I think really on reflection, if you ask people what number did Nelly Furtado I'm Like a Bird get to, people would assume it was a number 1.
Yeah.
And I think that's what this podcast is exactly for, discovering these again.